Memory dawns for me in the dimness of an unlit room, close walls, a rectangle. A room where I've been sent alone to search for something, and I have a sense of apprehension about this search, for I was told sternly by my stepfather to go there. I fear I'm in trouble. But in the unlit room, I find instead a gift in a large box, a Fisher-Price toy house, an object I'd been coveting with its bright, hard plastic colors, all its satisfyingly rounded corners, the friendly, solid heft of those palm-sized, limbless citizens. Round plastic heads, wooden barrel bodies, simple faces smiling. This perfect plastic house can be opened up right down the middle like a book, then closed again and latched when not in play. It is a child's desire to possess the ordinary world in miniature, her craving to own the power to reenact the daily motions of life in her hands. The first experience of this wish fulfilled is what becomes, for me, also the moment at which remove is first handed to me. The complexity of life inside of a house reduced to a microcosm cast in plastic, a rendition of family made manageable, miniature, harmless. It is then, for me, that remembering becomes safe. My mother's pen name was Chung Zung. I have found her name mentioned in something called the Encyclopedia of Censorship, and in one essay acknowledging the contributions of a pioneering group of women writers to the literature of South Vietnam prior to 1975. They were called the Five She-Devils. One of my mother's most well-received stories was about a young woman who meets with her lover at a beachside rendezvous, a ritual they've engaged in for several seasons. But on this meeting, the lover tells the woman that he wants to leave his wife and marry her, the one he usually sees only at these intermittent outposts of love. The woman, however, doesn't want to marry him, and so she refuses his offer. This story was called Walking While Looking at Stars. The title, as my mother herself explains it, refers to what the lovers in the story were doing in creating their temporary and removed state of loving. It is also what they were doing, literally, as they walked along the beach at night. I ponder these images, how a beach is a narrow geography where land and water repeatedly erase and assert their boundaries. How walking while looking up at stars is a posture, a positioning of the body in relation to ground and sky, that is picturesque, even somewhat exalted. You are looking up, not down. You are walking without a care of where you are going. You are fixated on the above, not the below. It's a posture in which we look away from the earth, away from its ground obstacles and moorings and gritty demands, and herald instead a desire of the ideal. It is even perhaps a noble posture, not entirely silly. It may well be how things like progress and invention are seeded, out of a daring to dream, to desire. But it's also a highly impractical position to maintain for long. The country to which I was born, that temporary southern world that existed between 1954 and 75 in the south of Vietnam, one might also claim was a state of desire unlikely to be sustained for long. And when it fell fast, faster than most anticipated it would. Rivers of people flowing southward in the tens of thousands. Saigon, the last bubble to burst. My father has said, when asked why he stayed, that at the time he could not hear or even think of the word leave without feeling a violent torment. And so, to avoid that torment, he did not leave. He believed he would have a little more time to continue his work, publishing and writing, but they came for him sooner than he thought they would. Many years later, almost 40 in fact, I will be sitting with my father in a motel room in Virginia when he tells me that the memoir he has been attempting to write, he has deleted. It's only the fourth time in my adult life that I've seen him, have made my way, always with great logistical effort, to where he is, in order that I may try, at least for short spells, to sit beside him. Much of our time together, my father and I, is spent in a not uncomfortable but still kind of hopeless silence. He cannot really explain what his re-education term was like. He lived, he says, with only the ants in his cell, and he makes an effort to be sure I understand what he means here, that he really does mean ants, those little creatures. He takes a photograph out of an envelope at one point to show me. It's a school picture of me that my mother sent to him in 1980-something, me buck-toothed, an immigrant American schoolgirl with a bad haircut. This picture would have been from the same time period during which she was telling me that he was dead. Next to the ants, that photograph was his only other companion in that cell, he will say. And I think he is sincere, but then a part of me wonders if it's not also just the emotion of seeing me now that stirs it up, that places the memory of my photograph in the cell with him in those dark days. Years in which he stared at walls. The guards beat him, kicked him, starved him. He shared his memories with those walls. My father had committed himself to writing and speaking only honestly, and so when he was asked to say the dog at the end of the guard's leash was an elephant, he refused to say it. He woke mornings to the familiar rub of his ankles bound in wood blocks. He forgot words during that time, could not remember the sense of any of them in the languages that once had come easy for him. This was ironic for a man whose crime had been one of words. Is he happy now? He laughs when I ask him that. Either this is his way of saying, it's futile to compare the two lives, or it's his way of saying, anything is better now than that fog behind him. Or he is letting me know that the concept of happiness is so irrelevant to him, so impossible to speak to, that he finds it almost funny. His explanation for why he deleted his memoir is, at first, a stilted wave of his hand, then the flash of his sad smile as he shrugs and says, I cannot, so I delete. Thanks.